Hello everyone, welcome to my third match for the league, season 19. So let's get into some of the ideas that I had looking at the board. So there's familiar, which I noticed right away, and there's also trashing and lookout. So I was thinking maybe we could go down some kind of money route. Of course, buying familiar first, and after the curses are done, we could probably fill our decks with lots of silvers and golds and try to buy, provinces that way. But um, looking at the board, there are quite a few cards there that can enable an engine or would make you want to play an engine. So there's draw and enchantress, which is weak but still draw. You have a lot of villages in ports. You have plus buy in messenger. There's procession for tricks if you like. There's ferry, which makes things cheaper, but things are so cheap on this board anyway. I'm not sure you could make use of that very well. And there's windfall at the end there, so if you could get thin enough, you could presumably buy that windfall to get a lot of money in your deck, right? That'll be like your payload, so to speak. So after looking at all these things, I decided to go in for the engine, and that meant going for lookout potion. First, want to get thin, want to be able to deal with familiar's curses as quickly as possible. However, my opponent doesn't open with the potion for the familiar. I instead going for a silver. So I was quite surprised with the silver, especially on 4, because there are a few other ideas you could go for. This messenger giving me something. There's talisman also, if you want to maybe go after some kind of Silk Roads thing. That's possible. On 4. So I was surprised to see that. Here on my 4, I have all these things to consider. There's also ferry, which I am going to buy and stick it onto the familiars because I have not seen my potion yet. I know it is coming, and I know it is coming with not a lot of money. So if I could reduce the cost of the familiar, that would be great for me. And it is what ends up happening here. I actually have exactly enough money after the ferry to pick up my first familiar. So I believe at this point my opponent has picked up a potion, so they are now signaling intent to go for the familiars and now a lighthouse. So going to obviously try to block the familiar, right? But it also does a couple other things on this board. Most notably, it defends you from enchantress, which could be a pain, especially early on. Like if you have just the one familiar and you are under the influence of the enchantress, your familiar is now not so good. So again, 4 here is an interesting price point for me, considering the talisman, considering moving the ferry token, considering enchantress as well, because I have no terminals in my deck yet. Even messenger is possible, but now that I see he has the potion going for the familiar, I want to be, but not just that, but also just for the building the engine, I want to get as thin as possible. So I'm just gonna hold up on any of those other thoughts and pick up a second lookout, aiming to be nice and thin here. The talisman can come later. The talisman actually could put in quite a bit of work here. Ports are there for you, enchantresses are there for you, and well, that's pretty much it really. But those are important cards. So I'm going to continue trashing here. I don't see my familiar on this reshuffle, which is a bit undesirable, but it happens, right? It happens. So here 3, again, this could be an enchantress for me. It could be an enchantress for me. And actually, I don't really see a problem with picking up the enchantress at this point. In fact, thinking about it now, I think it is better than what I end up picking up, which is a lighthouse. So the lighthouse was for 2 purposes. 1, to try to block his curses, and 2, to provide some kind of money for me. I have the 2 lookouts. I do also have the potion, so that is not a silver. So I would like a little bit of money in my decks because I need to hit 4 reliably. Well, is what I want to be doing anyway. So my opponent put down their lighthouse, which is why I am gonna get rid of this familiar here. No point, playing 2 familiars when I could trash instead. My opponent is covered for this turn. And I'm gonna pick up another familiar here. There are still 10 curses left in the stack, so if I have a good turn, I could plant quite a few into my opponent's deck. I think he only has the one lighthouse. He just picked up the second one there, so I have a decent chance of landing quite a few curses into his deck. So here I think about trashing the potion, but I decided to keep it because there's 9 curses left. I could still get another familiar. And you know, if I could drop 4 curses into his deck on one turn, that'll be very, very nice. Game winning almost. So I'm gonna pick up my second lighthouse here. I don't want any more than that because once I have the engine up and running, I should have a lighthouse in play all the time, so that the familiar won't hurt me, and more importantly at that point, the enchantress. The enchantress can't make my port a cantrip or anything like that. I'll be immune from that tantalizing enchantress. I just like the word enchantress. I don't know if you realize that. I think is a very, very nice word. Go call somebody an enchantress and see how they respond. Anyways, my opponent picks up a third lighthouse here, and I really don't think that's where you want to be, buying a third lighthouse. You could get away with it, but if you if you could play with 2 lighthouses and be guaranteed protection, you would do so. And that is what I'm going for. I don't want to pick up a third lighthouse. The 2 lighthouses also should give me enough money to stay up to 4 while being able to trash rather liberally here. So I am gonna get that big purple drop off into my opponent's deck. That 3 curses went in, avoiding his lighthouse, and now I think is the point for the talisman. I was able to see up until the end of my deck there with that lookout. I left a lookout on top of the deck, so now I think it is time to pick up the talisman and start gaining lots and lots of cards, and the first of which will be the enchantress, because I don't have any terminals, like I said, so I can stick one in play and then stick the other one in play after that. Have, you know, at least one in play going from now, and then I'll go for ports, and then maybe messengers for plus buys, more ports, more enchantresses, and there's windfall at the end for me to pick up, and then I'll start going for provinces, right? So it's very, very clearly laid out for me at this point what to do. Here I am going to trash the potion. There is really no point for me to keep that potion anymore. I mean, if I could stick 3 more curses in his deck, it's not like 4 is a whole lot better. And I would rather actually have the economy from the copper right now. Because look, I have exactly 4 here, right? So I'm, you know, on the edge. On the edge here. I need whatever money I could scramble at this point. So knowing I have the copper, actually it will influence my decision here to go for ports over silvers. Oh, sorry, I meant the enchantresses, sorry. Yeah, I am ahead of myself. So I do pick up the enchantress first because I know, okay, I can still trash next turn, pick up ports, we'll be fine. Not a big deal, not a big deal. So really, I mean, that is the turning point of the deck, of the game there, when I was able to see through till the end of my deck and pick up the talisman. Because from here on is just one-way traffic. I'm just gonna build my deck up, and my opponent really isn't in a good place. He buys messenger and gives us both enchantresses. I'm not really sure why, but I don't think it much matters what happens at this point in the game. It's just a matter of, you know, building while you're ahead. So that is exactly what I'm going to do. I'm just going to build, build, build until, you know, I'm in a maximum yield kind of position, which would probably be something like 2 provinces here. If you get 3 gold from windfall, you have a couple messengers in your deck. Maybe it's around double provinces, so not sure. So there go the ports as mentioned according to plan, and the next plan will be a couple messengers. I don't rush with the windfall here because really there's no reason for me to rush with the windfall. Absolutely no reason for me to rush with it. Why should I? why should I rush with the windfall when I don't have to? I could just run myself into some problems here, maybe not have a lighthouse up one turn. He could drop a couple curses in, get back in the game that way. There's no need for me to do any of that when he's so far behind. So I don't even have money for the windfall here, but even if I did, I wouldn't take it. I would do exactly what I did here. Just go for the messengers and continue to build up draw. So I'm gonna distribute a couple enchantresses. Enchantresses. Man, I hope that's not annoying anybody. My pronunciation of the word enchantress. And soon enough, my opponent resigns. Going for gold here. Um, Seems fine. Actually, I'm not able to draw through my deck on this turn, which I found a little bit surprising, but I mean, I put two messengers in. I should have a better estimation of what my deck could do. Oh no, I do. I do. Again, I'm ahead of myself. The next turn, I'm not able to draw my deck. And again here, opting not to pick up the windfall, because why? Why should I pick up windfall? There's no reason. I think here this is what double port, double enchantress. Well, triple port because the talisman gives me an extra, and double enchantress. Yeah, just build while you're ahead. Yeah, lots and lots of draw. My opponent can't threaten anything. He does have a messenger, and he could buy a messenger to run some piles, but it's not an issue. It's not something I'm worried about, because he also has the points deficit from all the familiars too. Also, the curses are still intact. We've played familiars quite a few times, but they're still intact. His lighthouse defense has been admirable to this point, picking up another lookout, but really is all too late at this point. So yeah, there's not much more to say here about this game. I mean, I went for a lot of trashing early. There was lighthouse there, which means that I could trash quite aggressively and still pick up that card, which is actually quite good on the board here, both for money purposes and for defending against the early barrage of the familiar or the enchantress if your opponent so chooses. I didn't end up moving that fairy token because, I mean, there's no real need to. The talisman can get everything. If there was some 5 cost, then you could move it there, and then your talisman could gain that 5 cost card doubly. But not the case here. 6, I'm just going to finish out the enchantresses, and my opponent is going to resign on the following turn. So that's how game 1 ends. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the second game. Okay, so since you stuck around for this long, you probably want to hear me say it one more time. Enchantress.